Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am thrilled to be with you. My name is Barbara Schwark, and I am the CEO of Clear Intentions International. Clear Intentions is an executive coaching and training firm. We specialize in getting people unstuck. We look at the unconscious and the subconscious blocks that people experience and how they impact the goals that they have. And through something called kinesiology, we locate them and neutralize them, and then people have great energy to actually complete or accomplish what they look to accomplish in their lives, whether it's personal or professional. So, but tonight we're all here to talk about incompletions. I want to talk about why it's important for us to complete things, and I want to give you some steps and some tools to complete some of the things in your life that you haven't been able to complete. So let me dive right in. What are actually incompletions? Incompletions are everything and anything that has not been finished. So in other words, if there's a conversation that you didn't complete, it's an incompletion. If there's a project that you didn't complete, you would look at it as an incompletion. So it can be something that that happened a long time ago, or it could be something that happened this afternoon. It could be something that pertains to yourself, something that you feel incomplete with yourself, or it could be something that involves another person. It could be a place, it could be a situation, it could be, I haven't cleaned up my garage and it's been looking like this for 20 years. Or it could be I always wanted to finish my doctoral degree, and it sits inside of me as an incompletion. So really, completions are anything that we haven't been able to, for whatever reason, to complete on, either it's physical, it could be emotional, it could be something mental, or it could be also, sometimes for some people, there could be something in the spiritual, on the spiritual level that we haven't been able to complete. So before I actually go into talking a little bit about how to complete things, I want to spend some time giving you some reasons to why you might actually want to complete whatever it is that you're thinking of. And when we are looking at what it's costing us to have these incompletions, at the same time, it gives us on the opposite side, it gives us an opportunity to look at, wow, this is what could be available to me if I actually completed this thing. Sometimes it's obvious, right? If I cleaned up my garage, maybe I could get my car in there. Or if I cleaned up my office, maybe I would have an easier time finding things. I would waste less time, and it would be easier for me to work, and I would be more joyous to do my work. So sometimes it's very obvious, but sometimes not so much. So I want you to think about, what is it costing you to have incompletions? And you can also, put it in the chat box to write, what is it costing me? And maybe you also want to write, what are some of the things that are incomplete with you? So, maybe it's something that I mentioned, like something that needs to be organized, but maybe it's a conversation that you need to have with somebody, or maybe it's a project that you didn't complete. So take a moment to think about that. And if you have something specific, also, what is it costing you? Maybe it's costing you happiness. Maybe it's costing you, um, it's time, money, energy. And at the same time, what could be gained if you completed this particular project or situation or circumstance. Maybe you could be freer. Maybe you could be happier. Maybe there would be more peace of mind. Oftentimes, one of the byproduct of incompletions is some sort of underlying anxiety that it gets stirred up, and we are involved in thinking about, oh, I need to do this, I need to do this. And even if it's something that was very, very much in the past, there's still some energy that your body, your mind, you as a system, as a person, spends on thinking about why is this particular project or person or incomplete. So just to write about it, put it in the chat box. Good, thank you. I'm not looking exactly what people are writing, but I'm trusting that some of you are writing about something. So I appreciate your willingness to take a look at that. So why are we not completing things? Okay, what are the reasons for us to not actually complete whatever it is that we didn't complete in the past? So basically, when I prepared for today, I thought about it and I came up with two major reasons. The first reason is we're not really aware that it sits inside of ourselves as an incompletion. So I'm not aware of it. I don't know because maybe it's a long, long time ago and I buried it deep, deep, deep down in my consciousness. Or perhaps, it's never really showed up as an incompletion. And I thought I was complete with it. So, somewhere in the area of I'm not sure, I didn't know, and I don't remember, and I buried it somewhere in my consciousness. The other obvious reason for not completing things really has to do with the fact that it's hard. It could be physically hard, it could be emotionally hard, and emotionally hard could mean I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I don't really know how to go about it. I'm not really that courageous. What if I bring something up to the person and it's really deep, deep, deep thing for me, a very personal, something that hurt me deeply? How am I going to address it? What if they don't acknowledge me? What if they, put me off? So the second reason of why we're not doing it, it's because we have maybe fear associated with it, or it's difficult on some other reason, in some other way. When it's a physical challenge, it also usually has some emotional connection to it. People are overwhelmed, if there's a garage or something like that, or my office that I need to clean out, or a closet. Usually every item that we have carries some emotionality with it. And I don't want to part with this particular item because it means something, it has history, or maybe I don't want to hurt people's feelings and pass it on because it was a present. Maybe I don't know how to go about organizing the space. So there could be a lot of reasons of why the task seems just too big to accomplish. So I'm going to go through a recipe of completion with you that I actually learned in a seminar. A lot of the things that I'm telling you, I learned in seminars a long, long, long time ago, and then I kind of took them and made them my own. But a lot of the things I learned are from a seminar called Inside Seminars, and also from the Landmark Forum. And I've always find it valuable to really go to any personal growth seminar, because even though I might not agree with everything that I learned, there's usually something that I will find of value. So the recipe of completion I learned in the Landmark Forum, and then I modified it. So here it goes. It has 7 steps in my book. And the first one is I need to establish an environment for completion. And what I mean by that is I really want to make sure that there's time for it, so I don't have to rush off to talk about with somebody about something, or that I'm not in the mood, or let's say I'm hungry, or I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. So I want to make sure that it's a good time to look at this, whether it's with myself or it's with somebody else. The second step is I want to acknowledge that I'm incomplete with something. By acknowledging it is simply making a statement of saying, I'm incomplete with this. Okay, I am not finished. I'm incomplete with this project, or with this conversation, or with something that happened in the past, or whatever it is that you're incomplete with. Then in the third step, I want to talk specifically about what am I actually incomplete about. So I gave you some examples, but it could be I'm incomplete with my mother because I didn't send her a birthday card, or I'm incomplete with my brother because 20 years ago he stole something from me and I never told him that. That upset me. Or I'm incomplete because I want to write a second book, and it's been sitting on in my computer for 7 years. So I want to acknowledge that I'm incomplete, um, what I'm incomplete about, and specifically what that is. Sometimes it gets a little bit more into the very specific reasons, and I'm going to give you an example in a little bit, so you can actually see how this works. Then in the fourth steps is all about making a request. So I might have a request of this person. So if it's something about, let's say the toothpaste, my partner doesn't put the cap back on the toothpaste, or there's hair in the sink. The request could be something like, hey, would you please not leave the hair in the sink anymore? And then the person who I'm having this conversation with could either say yes or no, or can make another suggestion. And sometimes there isn't a request. 5 is an important step, and it's all about asking for forgiveness. So I might ask for some forgiveness for myself because I waited for so long to bring this up, or maybe I did something that I feel not good about, and so I might ask for forgiveness from this particular person. It's also a step that's not always applicable, but a lot of the time it is, because when there are incompletions, there's usually a sense of judgment around it. Number 6 is a statement of declaration. It's about declaring that what I will do in the future, maybe in the case of sort of day-to-day incompletions, it could be declaration of, okay, the next time I have an incompletion, I will bring it up sooner. We all know that a lot of times, a lot of us, we wait and we wait and we wait and we don't say anything, and we accumulate the incompletions until we sort of like blow up, or maybe some of us don't blow up and just go and hide and stop communicating altogether, because there are too many incompletions that we didn't communicate about, and a little tiny pebble in the shoe turn out to make a blister, and then it really starts hurting. So 6 would be, declaring that maybe I will clean things up faster, or maybe I will take better care of myself, or whatever is appropriate. And 7 is to see if the conversation or this particular event is now complete. So if I'm with somebody, I'll ask, is this complete? Is this complete with myself? Now I need to be prepared that the person isn't complete, or the person will say to me, no, I'd like to have another conversation about it. But what's important is that when I'm having these conversations, again, either with myself or with with another person, that my intention is I'm going into this conversation with the intention to be complete about whatever it is. So let me give you an example. And I'm first going to give you an example about incompletion with myself. And then I'm going to give you an example about an incompletion with somebody else. So I'm establishing now is a good time for me to have this conversation with myself. I feel clear. I feel ready. I've thought about this, and I'm happy to share it with you. So a couple of days ago, I realized that I'm incomplete with my piano teacher. Actually, both of my piano teachers from, oh my God, over 40 years ago. And step number three, what am I incomplete about is while they were both very, very harsh, uh, especially the first one, she was rough. She wouldn't listen to me and kind of walked away. I walked away with the feeling of I'm not good enough. I'm not valued. I don't deserve to be listened to. And basically, I shouldn't really continue practicing piano because I was never going to go anywhere with it. And a sidebar, as a matter of fact, I very much love playing the piano, but I don't play. I haven't played for a long time, and I always carried this notion with me that I'm really not a great, piano player, and I would never be, and it wouldn't really matter if I ever tried. So the request that I have, this would be step number 4, is of myself to spend some time with myself, rewriting this belief and let it go, and forgiving myself for holding this against myself and buying into her even 40 years later. Number 5 would be to ask myself for forgiveness for myself, but also to forgive her, because obviously she did the best that she could. She was a young woman, and to forgive her and just to let it go and say, okay, that wasn't a good situation, and I forgive her, I forgive myself, and also to forgive my mother for sending me to her and not really knowing better, because it wasn't intentionally that I was to have this experience. Number 6 would be to really take inventory with myself and to see if there's anything else along those lines that I can clean up, around my art or around my music. And as soon as I'm saying that to you, I can actually tell that, it would be good for me to spend some time in that area. And then ask myself, am I complete with this? And my answer is yes, I'm complete with it for now. And know that I will revisit this in the near future, have put a little note to myself to look what else there is to work on. Okay, so for me, this is a what's happening to me right now inside of me as I am, going through this exercise with you is I can see that there's more calmness, more peace, and my joy for music and the possibility of actually thinking, hey, maybe I will play the piano again, and maybe I will take some lessons. It's all that is looking much, much brighter and more as a possibility than it was before. Now, my next step, and I will do this with you also, would be to do this with her. I could actually probably ask my mom how to get a hold of her and have this conversation with her. And what I would do is I would, again, step number 1 would be to find a time to talk to her and ask her if this would be a good time to talk to her about something that's emotional and sort of prepare her that it would be a serious conversation. And the next step would be to acknowledge and let her know that, hey, I wanted to let you know that I'm incomplete with the piano lessons that I took from you 40 some years ago. And step number 3 would be to tell her exactly what I'm incomplete about. And there's kind of 2 ways of doing it. I could say, hey, when you did this, you made me feel like this. I'll be better off if I came at it from a place of responsibility and say, the piano lessons left me feeling hurt and I felt invalid and I felt like, I was never good enough and that it didn't really matter how much I practiced. You know, I wasn't going to go anywhere with it. So and as a result of it, I'm no longer playing the piano and I kind of, moved away from it. Number 4 would be a request that I would have of her. And my request just would be for her to be with me and listen to me. I know that she doesn't teach anymore, and I don't really want to take her inventory, and it's something in the past. So it would be, for her to listen to me and be with me and receive what I have to say. Number 5 would be for me to let her know that I've let this go, and that I appreciate her listening to me, and that I've forgiven myself for buying into it, because that's really not about her. That's really about me buying into this for 40 years, and that I've let it go. Uh, Number 6 would be for me to let her know that, I wish I had this conversation earlier, and I wish that we had a different relationship, that I could have let her know right away that this wasn't working for me, and maybe would have changed the course of everything. And 7 would be to let her know that I'm complete, and to see if there's anything else that she has to add to the conversation, and being fully prepared that she might say, I was fine, my lessons were just perfect, and just to know that I am, internally prepared to to be open to, wherever she takes us. In my experience, most of the time when we have these kind of conversations, people are actually very, very open and willing to take their responsibility for the part that they had, and those conversations really turn into really beautiful conversations and completions, and that oftentimes really change the relationship that that people had with one another. So I am promising to you, this is my challenge to myself, that between now and the next Facebook Live, I will see if I can have this conversation with her. And if you're willing to take on a conversation that with somebody that you're incomplete with, including yourself, I would love for you to click the like button, and take that on as a challenge, because when we are complete with ourselves, and we're complete with other people, we're really setting ourselves up to have a different life. Okay, I just looked at the clock. I see that I've talked for a while. I want to give you a little bit of a summary. For those of you who were not on the call in the beginning, today is all about incompletions, why they're important, physical incompletions, completions around emotions that we have around situations or conversations that we didn't have or did have, or situations, circumstance. And we looked a little bit at what's it costing us, and at the same time, what's available to us when we are completing things. And I shared with everybody a recipe for completion. If you would like me to email you the recipe of completion, please put your email in the chat. I will be happy to email it to you, and then you can have it actually and try it out and test it and see how it works for you. Okay, so I think I'm about to complete for this evening. Again, thank you for joining me tonight. I will be on again next Wednesday at 8:30 Israel time, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who didn't know, every Sunday I have a free coaching call, same time, 8:30. You need to sign up for it, so make sure that you click on the link so that I can have your email information and send you the Zoom link. I always do some neuroemotional coaching with people on the call, and so if you would like to join us for that, I would love for you to do so. And last but not least, I'm doing a 30-day morning program with Inside Cyprus. It's a 30-day program, support of changing habits. I am one of 6 coaches, and if you would like more information, go visit the Inside Cyprus page. We just started today. I think you can still join us, because really we're kicking it off tomorrow, and the calls are recorded, and I'd love for you to join us as well. So thank you so much. let's go and complete a few things, and good night.